Hi, this is Andrea from This Knitted Life. In this video, I'm going to show you how to work the lateral braid, or sometimes called the Estonian braid, which is just a horizontal chain of knitting stitches that contrast with the vertical columns of stockinette. So we have our hat, that's what I'm working on, and we're ready to go. I've got my stitch marker for the beginning of the round. Now the first thing that we're actually going to do is skip over this first stitch. We're going to leave it on the left hand needle, but we're just going to skip it. We're going to go behind it and knit into the back loop of the next stitch, the stitch after it. Okay, and then we're going to leave that stitch, we're going to leave everything on the left hand needle. We're not going to slide everything to the right quite yet. Then we're going to work the front loop of that first stitch that we skipped, and at this point we're going to go ahead and move everything to the right hand needle. Then we're going to take our new stitch that we just worked and we're going to return it to the left hand needle, but we're not going to work it yet. We're going to slip behind it, just slip over it and work the back loop of that next stitch. And again, we're going to keep everything on the left hand needle a little longer, and we're going to go to the front loop of the slip stitch. We're going to knit it, kind of like wrapping around a little bit, and at this point we can go ahead and remove everything onto the left hand needle. So one more time, we're going to take our new stitch, we're going to put it back on the left hand needle, we're going to go behind it and work into the back loop of the second stitch. Everything's still put on the left hand needle, we haven't done anything too crazy. And then we're going to knit into the front loop of that first stitch that we slipped over. And then at this point again, we're going to remove it off the left hand needle onto the right. And you can see here the braid is starting to form. And so we would just continue by putting the new stitch back onto the left hand needle, skipping over it. So we're going to just skip over it. I'm going to work into the back loop of the stitch behind the second stitch, and then I'm kind of, so you're wrapping around essentially, and you're coming into the front loop of that first slip stitch, working it, and then removing. And you can see here our lateral braid starting to form. So I'll come back in a minute when we're ready to see how to invisibly join it right here in the beginning of the round. Okay, we're back. We've knit our lateral braid, our Estonian braid, all the way around, and now we want to join it invisibly before we continue on with the rest of our pattern. So this is how I do this. There's different ways if you poke around on YouTube, but this is the way that I like best. So this is our first lateral braid stitch right here. My marker to join my round would go right here, but I removed it temporarily so it wouldn't be in our way. So this is our first lateral braid stitch right here. Okay, I'm going to grab both legs of that first stitch, both legs, and I'm going to put them on the left hand needle, and I'm going to knit them together and create one new stitch. And now that new stitch is on my right hand needle, and I'm going to take the last stitch of the lateral braid that's right here, and I'm just going to pass it over that new stitch. So I basically made a stitch, now I'm reducing the stitch, my yarn is splitting, and then when we continue with our round, the braid is joined. It kind of is a little stretched, but once it blocks, you give a seamless, there's not a jog up to the next row. So that's how I do it. Now you know how to do a lateral braid or an Estonian braid in the round. Congratulations.